Welcome to episode 14 of the Amazon podcast. This right here is a weekly podcast focusing on everything Assassin's Creed, community news and discussion. I'm one of your hosts, Animus1231. With me today, as usual, is McCrackenway.
Oh, what? Reverse, I guess.
And Aries!
The betrayal aftermath.
And we don't have a guest this week because it's a special A3 episode. Let's get started. This week is this episode will be coming out, I believe, a day before E3. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we expect to see from all the different companies at E3, and we're going to go in order of the conferences. So if you know what order that is, you'll be able to follow along. Super easy. So guys,
expect and hope, right?
Yeah, somewhat. It could be.
Yeah. There's one that I hope will be there that I'm certain will not be there.
What do we expect to see from Bethesda, first off?
Fallout 4 is going to have gameplay.
Yep.
Yeah, gameplay trailer for Fallout 4. I think they
extended gameplay.
I'm thinking 20 minutes, since I think they said that on their Instagram.
Yep, same.
I have a question.
Because that's the kind of game that needs a long demo to properly show off.
Yeah.
So, what prompted the reveal that we had before? Because I would have thought that the Fallout 4 reveal would have been something they'd say for their conference, but was that a website thing? Somebody caught the website?
No, that was them.
Actually
Bethesda did it themselves.
Yeah.
And I think the reason they wanted to do that is because, with E3 there's so much going on, you need to cut through the noise. And with Bethesda saying, hey, guess what, we do have Fallout 4, it guarantees that people will tune in to see, I know Fallout 4 is going to happen, let's see what they do.
I think, though, that them having their own press conference would have drawn enough people anyway. And I'm kind of surprised they didn't save that for the conference, because that would have given them more attention in the moment, I guess. Whereas I feel like now it's going to be like, Fallout 4, we already knew about that, and other things. If there's a newly announced game, what my prediction is, since it's a different Allied studio that would probably fall under the Bethesda banner, would be Dishonored 2.
Could be.
I recall a couple years ago seeing something that said Dishonored 2 was a 2016 release, but I would love to see Dishonored 2 this year. That'd be great.
Well, Fallout 4 is probably not coming out this year, so...
Actually,
I thought it
is.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
October. That's the rumor.
Wow, there's a lot of stuff going for that, and actually I believe if you look back to Skyrim and Fallout 3 and New Vegas, I think, they actually, within a year of the first gameplay, like all the ones with cinematics, that was a gameplay trailer, even, just from 60 angles.
Gameplay, I guess.
And so
but not within reveal, though, I guess, so that's what I'm thinking.
I mean, a lot of games now are going from reveal to shelves in like a 6-month span. Like, there were a lot of games that were. I mean, some of them were delayed, but the plan for a lot of games is E3 to holiday release.
Far Cry 4 did it really well.
Yeah, very well for Far Cry 4.
Let me just whip up the thing.
Else with Bethesda, Dishonored 2, like McCrackenway said, I would love to see that. I very much enjoyed Dishonored 1. I think, like Mirror's Edge, we'll get to this later, really good idea. Execution was pretty good. Could be better. So I think with Dishonored 2, they're going to go outside of Dunwall, other towns, and
you
more varied gameplay.
It's in the game, but there's also enough lore that you can find within the game that kind of details other places within the Dishonored universe that like there's a Spain equivalent, there's Middle Eastern equivalent. It's really interesting, and I want more because that game was awesome. So it was a little rough, but it
was rough around the edges, but it was
good.
It was fun.
To me, it felt like a better version of the kind of stealth they do in like the Elder Scrolls games a bit.
I see
it revolved. It was similarly first person, and it worked similarly, but it was a lot more expansive. And I mean, it's inspired a lot of other games to do similar things with the openness of their stealth levels and things, which is something great.
It was a weird balance with their open world style, but with linear levels. It was very interesting. I like that.
Yeah, genius, I'd say.
Next we have Doom.
Yes, Doom. I was going to say that.
We're going
to get a trailer. We're going to get a gameplay demo.
Both?
I think
You think
I think both.
I think so. We've already had
the teaser. We've had behind
trailer.
Closed doors videos.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get
beta coming up soon, I believe.
I mean, it makes sense that you'd want to show off, gameplay at E3, and maybe they'll have it playable. That's a stretch, but I think that Bethesda may want to have 3 games come out this year, and that is Fallout 4, Dishonored 2, and Doom. Doom and Fallout 4 more likely than Dishonored 2.
Yeah, because they're both announced for one thing.
3 very different games. And the holiday window is a pretty big window, so if they could actually pull that off and have a shooter, an open world game, and a stealth game come out, that would be great for them.
And even if they push it to February, that's not really a big deal because The Witcher was pushed to February and it's getting amazing reviews and it is amazing. So I think that's the same with Mass Effect 3 and BioShock Infinite, both released kind of early in the following year.
Yeah, it's still in the same fiscal year, but pushed out of the calendar.
Yeah.
I don't keep track of fiscal years.
Yeah. Next we have Microsoft.
Well, Halo 5.
Lots of Halo 5, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Halo 5. I'm thinking we'll see some... Xbox is trying to go for more PC gaming focus, so I'm definitely going to think that they're going to try and show off some of their weird Windows 10 gaming aspects that they're going for there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Microsoft's in a very interesting position because usually you see that there's kind of a seesaw between Sony and Microsoft pushing games and pushing tech and the experience. Microsoft is in a position to do either because they have a lot of games coming out this year, but also they have the Oculus partnership, which was announced yesterday or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then there's Windows 10. There's a lot of stuff that they can talk about. So I think their show last year was an hour and a half. They can do a lot at this E3.
They haven't talked about they haven't talked about too much how HoloLens will affect gaming yet. So
I think they're saving it until it actually works.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Which is a thing that I'm a little bit confused about with Oculus because as far as I know, the dual rendering specs are not something that is the Xbox One could run. At least that's what PC gaming friends tell me. They could be wrong. They might just be talking out their PC gaming high horse asses. But
Microsoft doesn't need to push Oculus as an Xbox One product for it to show at their show because Microsoft includes PC too, with a lot of stuff they're doing with Windows 10. So I think they can still make it work.
There's a separate PC gaming conference as well, though.
Yeah,
they could pull that.
Feasible that you can see Oculus at both. I mean, Ubisoft split some of its games to different shows.
Yeah, true.
So Oculus could certainly do the rounds.
Yeah,
that's true.
So what do we think? What do you think Xbox, the console, is going to? Do you think they're going to pull anything this year? Do any kind of reveals? As console,
terabyte
edition.
They're not going to have a Slim. I don't think they're going to have a Slim. They just showed the new 1 terabyte.
Oh, yeah.
I think we'll get some more Tomb Raider goodness.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Probably gameplay.
Gameplay. The first one was a good game. I'm sad that I won't be able to play it for a while.
For a year, I believe the exclusivity deals for.
Yeah.
But Sony, Shuhei Yoshida said that Sony's not even actually in talks to get it over onto PS4 yet, so it might take longer than that because they just weren't told about it.
I do hope exclusivity deals die soon.
Yeah, it's kind of wacky. But speaking of, there have been some rumors floating around which Microsoft put down, but we can't really trust when Microsoft says. This isn't true because they've lied to us in the past. Silent Hills, which I honestly do not give a single solitary fuck about. Everyone's just been shouting about it, so I feel the need to address it.
It's an important thing in the industry and in the gaming culture right now, and I think it would... I don't know. I definitely think that PT was really important. I don't know if having a released full game that... maybe doesn't live up to the demo would be good, but I think that having that, having had the idea, this vision out there at some point, I think this is getting away from E3, but I think it's something that will be remembered and be remembered as an important milestone in gaming for a while, especially for horror fans, which is mostly what the game is, because
I'm not a horror person, but from what I've heard of my friends who are horror people, it's very good environmental horror as opposed to jump scare horror, where just being in a room scares you.
And
that's something a lot of games can't pull off.
And running into scares depends on your actions rather than like, again, you said jump scares. Like, it's not like you walk past a certain point and they just throw a jump scare at you. It's like, that by progressing, you're going to continuously like make everything worse and creepier and everything.
And look, there's a fetus in the sink.
That was abortions. I think that the biggest surprise that Xbox could pull would be if they announced that Silent Hills actually was chucked under their banner and they bought the rights. Because there was the rumor, which was then put down, and no one believed the rumor because it said that they'd paid billions for the rights and that it was 80% done. Silent Hill as a franchise has never ever made billions.
No,
I mean Ubisoft makes like $2 billion a year on a good year.
Exactly. The movies, Silent Hill and movies as well, and they didn't even get close. Silent Hills, the franchise, has never been mainstream. It's always been the cult, and it's been legendary within the industry.
And I think
but it's never been famous. It's not COD. It's not AC. It's not worth billions.
Yeah,
and it couldn't be 80% done if it got scrapped. That doesn't make any sense.
And one of the reasons I think it got such a huge following and pull was because it was free, right? Like, I mean, I haven't for a little bit considered downloading it just because I was free. I didn't because, I mean, I got Amnesia: The Dark Descent for $6 and I couldn't finish the game because it was fucking terrifying. But I didn't even get to like a place where I could die, as far as I know. But I think if you were paying like, the price of a moderately priced indie game, like $14, I don't think that as many people would have played it.
It wasn't a demo; it was a playable teaser, which is why it was so special.
Which is weird.
It was a very interesting concept in video games.
And it was the puzzle aspect where they were encouraging people to help out each other on the internet, and there were the forums that went crazy over it, and it showed that there was something real there. It wasn't supposed to be like The Last Guardian, where they just gave us a CG trailer. It was something real, because
we'll get to that later.
Yeah, exactly. It was something that was tangible evidence that this game was well underway in production, and so it's being cancelled was more of a surprise than anything. And if Xbox did
Kojima being let go was more of a surprise than anything.
Oh yeah, Konami's gone ahead and
I'm not sure what's going on.
The biggest surprise would probably be if suddenly Konami wasn't synonymous with a picture of a turd. It's all of a sudden. They are doing some really strange things at the moment. So I think that if Xbox does end up buying Silent Hills, which wouldn't make any sense, that would be a massive surprise for Xbox, and I don't think it would be a good idea financially for them. Maybe if Sony...
Especially not if they spent $2 billion.
I mean, it depends on what the price is. I mean, $1 billion, no, that's just all sorts of a stupid idea.
Throw $1 million at them and maybe...
But if they can get it for, a couple million, maybe, on the high end, 100 million or so, that wouldn't be a bad deal.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be too bad. I also think that we're going to see that Gears of War remake.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. We're going to get a Gears of War remake. I think only Gears of War 1. It's not a full Marcus Phoenix collection.
Yeah. We know that it is in the works. It was leaked. Do you think we're going to get a trailer or a demo?
I don't really think there needs to be a trailer for a remaster, because the point of a remaster is you know exactly what happens in this game.
I mean, there have been trailers for remasters.
God of War 3.
I think
really.
Yeah,
if we don't get gameplay, then I think we'll get like a 30-second hey, this thing is going to come out sometime, and then they're going to move on.
It won't be a proper trailer. It'll be like a little thing.
Yeah.
Like gameplay almost certainly.
Yeah.
Let's
actually, really fast, I'd just like to say that I'm actually kind of disappointed that Halo doesn't have local co-op, because I've actually played all of the Halo games like that.
Same.
So
I don't own an Xbox, but I was
I've never owned an Xbox, but I've played through all of the Halo games.
The current situation with Halo 5 is really confusing. Like, in some ways, they're doing everything right, and then they come out with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, they're giving us free DLC just like The Witcher, and that doesn't...
Yeah, then, I mean, 343, so they looked at the statistics and said that not enough people were playing local co-op to justify putting the effort into it, which I guess makes sense. But
like
I'm still kind of bummed.
Service kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, part of the appeal of the original Halo was the local co-op.
Exactly. It's not like everyone's going to do it, but the people who do play it like that are going to be massive fans of you and going to appreciate it if you do pull it out.
I mean, I was really excited reading the Game Informer article, and I was like, man, this sounds so awesome. It sounds like everything the
story sounds really cool.
Yeah, the story sounds really cool, and even if I would just play it for the story, but I'm not going to get to, probably.
Yeah.
Next up, we have EA. Let's start out with Battlefront.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I think trailer.
Really excited for this game.
Definitely, I think we're going to get at least gameplay.
I think the gameplay we will get will somehow tie into The Force Awakens, because they've been teasing the battle of whatever that new planet's called.
Jakku?
Jakku. Although that's DLC, so that might not work. But I think that they're going to try to tie it into Episode 7 as closely as they can to try to build up hype that way. Mm-hmm. We're going to get some hero gameplay with the Jedi and Sith, I think. I want to like this game because I love Battlefront 2 for all sorts of reasons. But they're making it, whatever it is, 32 on 32, no AI, which is kind of sad. They seem to be taking some of the really good aspects of Battlefield, like the rush mode, and essentially porting that into Battlefront.
And you can't drive the AT-ATs.
That's kind of sad.
They just walk across the field. It's like, what?
I want to like it, but I don't quite have a good reason to yet.
I want to see the dogfights.
I'll need to see it.
I want to see the dogfights. Like, we know there aren't any in space, but we know there are on land ones.
I'm not
in the sky.
I don't know that.
I actually think it's better that they're not in space.
It's more exciting, in my opinion, to have a dogfight.
That you can run into the ground.
Yeah, you can see... I mean, the thing in space is, like, you can point your ship in a direction, and you cannot tell you're going that direction because the stars are not moving. Or...
exactly.
You
have
to do some, like...
points when you're around. Also, it's pretty
parallax.
Space.
You need some parallax scrolling in space, and I'm not sure they would be able to pull that off on not just such a large scale.
Yeah. I'm not... I don't have a particular care for this game because I never owned either of the other two Battlefield games. I found them fun when I played them at, again, co-op at people's houses. But there's a lot of games that I'm looking at this E3 and I'm like, I didn't find when I played them, I didn't find the previous games, overwhelming. But if it turns out that they're something special, then I will probably purchase them. That applies to Fallout 4, but that's probably because I got Fallout 3 for $2, so I didn't feel an obligation to finish it or anything.
Battlefront is doing a lot of things wrong so far, and especially with just limiting features and things like that. Some of fan favorite aspects are just not there. So, and I know that some people have an issue with the third person being over the shoulder instead of straight behind you, like in the other Battlefronts.
I find straight behind.
In Battlefront 2, you had either. You could do over the shoulder or proper third person.
Yeah,
I definitely liked over the shoulder, actually.
I definitely prefer over the shoulder. That is definitely the way I think that.
Yeah, I like over the shoulder.
Third person games should go.
But some people, don't.
Yeah,
like
I don't understand why. I'm sure there are reasons, but to me it just seems really unintuitive.
If you look staring at the back of their head.
Yeah, and the reticles somewhere.
Oh yeah. So they're doing a lot of things wrong with Battlefront so far. This new Battlefront remake and remake sequel that doesn't have a number on it or something like that. It's confusing.
Reboot.
Yeah,
reboot.
Yeah, all the reboots do that. Prince of Persia does that.
And so they're going to show us something really good, something that's some really sexy graphics or some really fun gameplay to get people interested again, because a lot of people are quite negative about this game so far because it really isn't showing off anything too great.
Yeah,
I think what they need to do in terms of map design is have it so that there are big maps that you only play on a small part of it at a time. The problem with some of the lighter battlefields is that you have these huge maps, and even though the teams are really big, the maps are so huge that you'll walk for minutes on end without seeing anyone. So you need to condense the map so you're playing in this part of the map for this objective, and then this objective failed or passed, so you move over somewhere else. So you're moving through the map, but still playing in somewhat condensed areas. So you actually do see people regularly instead of walking around empty parking lots in Battlefield 4.
They have a very difficult balancing act they have to work with here, because it's not Battlefield. They have it's an established franchise with a lot of fans, both for the games and for the series as a whole. So they're going to need to. It's going to be tough for them in this one, I think, to really get the fan support behind it. Next, we have Mirror's Edge. Mirror's Edge Catalyst, I believe it's called.
Oh, so excited for this. I love the first Mirror's Edge. Played it to death.
Now this one's going to be the first because it's prequelness.
It was sort of like a...
Yeah.
It's not a sequel, it's a reboot already.
It's a prequel reboot thing. And it's called, I believe it was actually just a few days ago, revealed to be called Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
Yes.
Which is very nice. It looks... I am very interested in the first Mirror's Edge seems very interesting to me. I didn't actually play it, but it looks really well done.
Enjoyable.
It's a very simplistic art style, which I like the look of.
Yeah.
It's a game that you can get into at varying levels. Like, I played through the campaign pretty quickly and I didn't play it. I don't remember if there are difficulty levels, but I didn't play it through on a very hard one if I did. And I didn't bother about many of the trophies or anything, but then, there's also like a semi-online feature where you can race over parkour maps just
It was
for
a
fun.
great speedrunning game.
Yeah. Because that's what it was about speed and running.
I think we're going to need gameplay for this one. It's been a year of nothing.
We have to get gameplay.
Yeah.
And it's coming out. Do we know when it's coming out yet? Hopefully this year.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's going to be this year.
They announced it like 2 years ago now.
Yeah, you don't just announce a game and then let it sit for 3 years. That's practically suicide.
Yeah, it is.
Division.
Because
Sorry.
Oh my god.
I was actually going to say Duke Nukem Forever because...
Oh yeah, that was...
But that game sucked anyway.
Yeah.
It wasn't even the...
It wouldn't have sucked
time
if it came out when it was originally announced, but...
Oh yeah, probably
that game had so many backlog problems. Like, every time a new technology came out, it was like, oh, now I have to include this new technology. It's like, just release the damn game.
One thing they're doing with Mirror's Edge, this one, I believe, most people believe it's going to be open world style, while the other one was linear.
That'll be a bit weird.
So it's going to be a bit strange. And
I don't know.
I think they can pull it off.
Yeah, I don't know.
If anyone could do it, it's EA.
You could probably do it a little bit like, maybe a bit more robust than, but similar to the Prince of Persia reboot, where it was an open world, mostly. It had like a few linear paths to different parts of the world. So it was open world in that you could go wherever you want, but it was a bit limited in how you could get there. But I imagine that EA could expand on here's like 10 ways to get and here's 10 intersections to get around this place, so you can choose exactly where you want to go in your preferred fastest route and whatever.
Yeah, I agree. The first Mirror's Edge was a lot about, so you have like 3 options that are practically right next to each other, and they differ by about tenths of a second in how you can tackle and speedrun this mission. I think, McCrackenway, to your point, it's more likely that they'll have bigger, more robust levels where instead of just how do I jump over this one beam, it's do I approach from the side, from the top, straight through? It's more choice, I think.
Yeah.
I think the biggest worry for this is that the gunplay. Let's just hope that EA has taken all the criticism for the gunplay in the first one to heart, and they either revolutionize it or they minimize the usage of it in the game.
I hope they just... I hope that they minimize it, because it definitely... Mirror's Edge feels like a game, and there's... it's very explicit in the way that you're supposed to play is by not confronting anybody. Yep. But there's like a couple places where it's really hard to get past without straight up grabbing a gun and shooting.
Like the orange stairwell tower thing was a mess because it played exclusively as a shooter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, the thing that really got me was like the garage, like the first entrance to the garage. You get out of this truck and there's like it's green and you have to.
Oh god, the garage.
That was horrible.
That entire boat level, I just did not like. The early levels were all fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, guys, some of you may be able to know a little bit more about this situation for this game, because I haven't been following it very well. But Mass Effect.
Hey, that is...
Don't care.
Really?
It's great. You should play it.
What are you thinking, what do you think, Connor? What do you think we're going to see? How do you think this game's going to be?
Well, I still don't know if we are going to see a ton, just because... I would expect we get more of it, obviously, but I have no idea how far along it is in development. I have no idea. There's been a couple things like, here's a leak that might be the story, but I mean, myself, I'm always kind of skeptical with leaks, so I'm very kind of wary, and honestly, we could totally see nothing of Mass Effect there. That is a total possibility. I would be disappointed, but I mean, they'll probably show something, but it could be meaningless. I hope it's not. I'd like to see a trailer and gameplay, even if the game doesn't come out for another 2 years. Because, I don't know, just Mass Effect 3 was kind of like that.
EA's got a pretty full slate this year between the inevitable 20 sports games, Mirror's Edge, Battlefront, and whatever else they have. I feel like it's going to get the treatment that Mirror's Edge got a couple of years back, where it's just, here's a trailer, it exists, you won't hear about it for a while, but just know that it's coming.
Yeah, I mean, we've known that it's coming for a while, it's just, we haven't seen anything solid. We've seen like
proper acknowledgement.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of things of concept art, we've got people being like, you know, really excited for this thing that we're developing. I think we've got something really interesting. So actually, like, just going off some of the Twitter things I've been seeing, I would expect to see gameplay because it sounds like they have a playable something. No idea what that something is, whether it's alpha, beta, whatever stage. Yeah. But, and if we do get something back, I'd like them to confirm, Mass Effect is obviously like a big single-player sci-fi RPG, and it's awesome in that way. But I also found it to be in Mass Effect 3, one of the most enjoyable multiplayer experiences I've ever had, so I'd really like that co-op back.
We all about that co-op, apparently.
Well, that co-op was great. It was like a cooperative... I actually don't want to compare it to a MOBA because I don't really play enough MOBAs to know, but it felt like... it was really cool because there were a lot of different classes you could unlock in different races. That played entirely differently, and it was like, I mean, and given how much they expanded it with free DLC, they added more playable characters, races, weapons, everything, it was like, man, I wish some of these things that I could do in the co-op game were in the single-player game, because they're awesome. And it was just awesome to play as, like, say, you know, this alien who can do this thing. I mean, you could play as, like, a Volus, which is it's like 2 feet high and fat, but you could play as one, and you could, if you were good, you could make it work.
Next up, we have Ubisoft. Let's start with what we all know the best, and let's go with what we're going to see for Persia. What are we going to see for Assassin's Creed Syndicate?
Aisha Tyler will wear a shirt that says #Girlwood, or she will at least acknowledge it because she's not going to let that go.
Oh,
I know, but they're milking it so much.
I want her to go away. Well, I mean,
like Aisha Tyler. She actually has stage presence.
I think she's
no one else at E3 knows how to present.
I think she's better than Mr. Caffeine.
Oh God, Mr. Caffeine.
Poop on your toothpaste.
I don't know. Wish she'd tone it down a little bit. There's probably a happy medium between kind of the deadpan person and the...
We don't know what to do with our hands.
Yeah,
everyone
else. She just kind of annoyed me in some of the previous ones, and so I hope she tones it down a bit. But Assassin's Creed, why are we talking about the presenter?
Okay, I think let's go for the most predictable game that Ubisoft has. Let's say we're gonna have an E3 cinematic trailer, and we're gonna have a gameplay trailer.
Yep,
and
that's almost a fact given.
Yeah.
What do you think? We're gonna see a gameplay trailer and a gameplay demo. I think.
Yeah, and I think it would be silly.
Yeah, last year we had... It
might go this way, but I think it would be silly for them not to highlight Eevee a bit more.
I heard that they're waiting for Gamescom.
That's the thing, Aftermath. Yeah, so I think they're going to probably push Eevee on her own at Gamescom, but I think at E3 they're going to want to push the gameplay duality where you have these two characters you can switch between, because that's really the big new feature for Syndicate. So I think they're going to want to show that as soon as possible, and just say like, hey, Eevee exists, here she is briefly, but then we're going to save the rest for Gamescom.
Especially because I think, people who aren't rapidly following Assassin's Creed news all the time probably won't realize, even now they probably don't realize that there is a female character in the game, and I think if they don't show off Eevee at E3, people are going to be like, oh look, Ubisoft goes another E3 with an Assassin's Creed game that's, very male focused, and it's like...
The majority of people, for the most part, would have only seen that first trailer, the demo, that gameplay demo, and she has very, very minimal presence in that, so no one has any idea that she's going to be the other main character. She's supposed to be like, it's 75-25 split.
Well, I think it's likely that we'll see some switching between the two in the E3 demo, and then maybe see an EV-specific mission for Gamescom. That's what
I would definitely think the route to go with the cinematic trailer would be to push both of them. Because otherwise, it's like,
absolutely.
that's how they did Unity, right? Is they pushed the co-op part of it with their cinematic trailer. It would be silly for them not to push that.
Yeah, so I think we're going to see, just like with Unity, I think we're going to see a cinematic trailer. We're going to get a gameplay trailer, and we're going to get a gameplay demo.
Yep,
3 different things.
And based on the whole Ubisoft pushing the hey, beta test Syndicate, which is all sorts of good. I think it may be entirely possible that the demo they show may even be playable, because I think it already is playable because of what they've been showing with the Syndicate tour thing.
I think probably the gameplay trailer will show off the duality, and the gameplay demo will just be Jacob, and the cinematic trailer will also show off the duality.
I'm thinking that it's going to be both in the demo. They're going to want to show that off, I think.
Because
in a trailer you can say like, oh, there are 2 of them, but how does that work in gameplay? And people are going to want to know that.
They might lean more heavily on Jacob.
Are you going to let people play as both on the show floor? I don't think they'll do that. I think they're waiting for Gamescom.
Maybe.
That would be the demo, because you can play the demo on the show floor.
Yeah, that would make.
So I think they'd show that in the trailer, so we can see how it switches.
I think they should at least, in a demo, have, even if it's like 30 seconds, be like, oh, and here we're going to switch to Eevee to pull off this thing where we, sneak around behind here and do this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Jacob to do this.
All they need to do is just show that feature exists. Exactly. They don't need to go crazy with it.
Exactly, that would be in the gameplay trailer, but not the gameplay demo.
No, in the demo is what I'm thinking. Is like,
it's got to be in the demo.
They're talking.
But would they let the players on the show floor
play
that? Exactly. No, but they don't talk during the demo. They talk during the trailer.
They don't on the show floor, but they will later.
They talk on the trailer. So the trailer for Unity was breaking into Palais de Luxembourg and so we could see the how co-op worked there.
They later release a commented version of both things. So
they always release a commented version.
Yeah,
for both. Exactly, but there's always that focus for the trailer. So I don't think we're going to see them for the demo. I don't think they're going to let people switch between them, because I think that's more of the complicated aspects of the game. I'm not sure.
When you're talking about demo, you're talking about on the show floor. When I'm talking about the demo, I'm talking about the thing on the big screen.
The thing on the big screen would be the trailer. They show both on the big screen, actually. But they never let people play.
Between conferences, though.
They never let people play the trailer. The trailer-focused one, which was the Palais de Luxembourg co-op one for the Unity E3. They didn't let people play that. You couldn't play that on the show floor. So I think that's going to be the one that has the duality.
Why do you keep calling that a trailer? That's a demo. It's just not a playable demo.
Okay, let's sort this out. There were 4 things that were shown at last year's E3. There was the gameplay of Just Arna, the gameplay of all 4 of them, the trailer of sieging the Bastille to the tune of Lord, and then there was... that was it.
That was 3. It was 3. Yeah. Exactly. Well, there's the trailer, and then there's the demo. That's the difference. The gameplay trailer and the gameplay demo.
Gameplay trailer, cinematic trailer, gameplay demo, other gameplay demo. That's what was at last year's thing.
No, there wasn't 4. There was 3.
It wasn't shown at the conference, but it was released within E3. There was a gameplay trailer. At E3, they had a cinematic trailer and 2 two gameplay demos that they did one at Ubisoft and one at Microsoft. And Microsoft was the co-op one.
Yep.
But it's a trailer though; it wasn't playable.
Let's just
a trailer is just the thing. It's not a demo. It's not showing you what you can do in the game. It's just a cut together piece of thing. It doesn't have the HUD. It probably has a cool song laid over it.
So moving forward,
but it doesn't have the HUD either. Neither of them have the HUD.
But the point about a trailer is that it's cut together to like hype you up, not to actually show you what's going on in sequence. What we got, we have a gameplay trailer with the song, but the alpha footage we saw where someone was playing the game was a demo. And we're going to be done talking about semantics now.
So I think that we're going to see one demo with the duality and one without.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and I think the one the show floor is going to be one without.
Because we suspect that Ubisoft has a very good reason to split their stuff between either Ubisoft and then either Microsoft or Sony. But since Ubisoft and Microsoft's partnership ended with Unity, it is very likely that since all the promotional material, the PS4 copy of Victory of Syndicate is in front of the Xbox copy, we're probably going to see that second demo at the Sony conference.
Yeah, I believe they said that with the Microsoft partnership that ended their exclusive content on games. So PS4 won't be getting exclusive missions for Syndicate.
They were never very good anyway.
No.
Except for
but Everlynn's one did add a lot of story.
Yeah, but I didn't personally...
Well, we suddenly knew
I didn't personally enjoy it that much.
We knew that Connor was recruiting from around the North American continent. It
existed. But, I don't know. As far as actually playing it, I didn't find that one that interesting. I didn't find the story... The story was kind of rushed.
Back to E3.
Because it was a cool thing, but
aside from Syndicate, we're going to get another Just Dance. That's a fact. We're going to
wait. Someone's using rappers and loudly in mics.
McCracken way. That's
sorry.
So I think we're going to see the Division because they need to remind us that it exists because I forgot that it exists. Everyone else in the world forgot that it exists.
I don't even really care.
Yeah, same. I was so excited. Now I don't care. They need to give us a reason to care again.
They're going to show us some car door closing animations, and I believe they're going to show us how it works. They haven't shown off barely into the mechanics of the game yet.
When you say car door closing animations, for some reason I thought like the door loading screens in like the original Resident Evil.
Okay, and we're also going to see Resident Evil. No shit, you got me on Resident Evil now. Rainbow Six
Siege.
Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. Which
is there a beta for that?
There was an alpha.
There was an alpha. Okay, I think maybe show floor demo. That's popular because it's very conducive to that kind of play it yourself thing. Because it is the kind of game where you really need to play to understand it.
Yeah, last E3 we had that was when it was announced. So it was that little sneaky little thing right at the end, and they gave us just one more thing, and they gave us that trailer for it, which was really cool. So I think we're going to see more maps and things. I think we're going to see.
Yeah. So Ubisoft has 3 big games. 4. There's Just Dance, Rainbow Six, The Division, which comes out next year, but is still within this fiscal year, Assassin's Creed Syndicate. In the earnings call / year-end report that Ubisoft gave in March, they said there's also another game that we haven't told you about that's coming out in this year. Well, that's not going to be coming out, in January, February next year. That's just dumb. It's going to be this holiday. What that game is, my bet is either Prince of Persia or Splinter Cell. Here's why.
I think. Actually, yeah, you finish first. Oh, good.
I was going to say Far Cry. We got one last year. We're not going to get one this year. They're not going to annualize that quickly. That's very unlikely. I think it is possible that since it has been 6 years since the last Prince of Persia game, that'd be cool to reboot it.
But wait,
it hasn't been quite 6 years yet.
I don't think they're going to do anything. I think they've completely ditched Prince of Persia. It had its 25th anniversary and they didn't do anything. They didn't even talk about it. They didn't tweet about it. They didn't do anything. That's a massive thing for a game. And they
When was the 25th anniversary?
That was a few months ago, and they didn't do anything.
Then there's still time. There's still time.
maybe.
Yeah.
But they would have tweeted at it.
It's weird how they handled it.
they-
There's like HD remaster of the first game. I think actually all 3 games.
God,
That's
yeah.
on PlayStation Network, but hardly anybody knows about it.
I definitely
It was
would have thought
like
that they would have at least tweeted about it or something, and they didn't do anything.
That's the thing that I think isn't going to be there, but I really wish it was, because I don't care whether it's Sands of Time continuity or the Prince of Persia 2008 continuity. I just really liked Prince of Persia. It's
Same.
I mean, you could say like it's replaced by Assassin's Creed, but Prince of Persia is
still very
different
much its own game.
Yeah, it's a lot more linear and involved in its parkour than Assassin's Creed, and it's what got me into. I mean, it's one of the things that really made me like parkour as a thing in gaming in the first place.
Yeah. But continuing on, I think what we've seen is that Ubisoft, when they're not annualizing games, likes to do an every 2 years cycle. So, for instance, Far Cry has been, on a 2 years between Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4. I think Watch Dogs, even though it was supposed to come out 2 years ago, only came out 1 year ago. So we probably won't see Watch Dogs 2 until next year. And Splinter Cell, last one came out in 2013. So I think it's entirely possible that if they're following the 2 year rule, we're going to see one this year, maybe. So I think it's either that or Prince of Persia, but since Aftermath, like you said, they didn't even address the 25th anniversary, my money's on Splinter Cell.
I have 2 theories for what the next game will be, that big secret game. Let's go with the one that no one expects, Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Nah.
No.
They've shown us one trailer for that ever. It's probably not the money-making game. Ubisoft, we know that Ubisoft loves money.
I think we'd be more likely to see Child of Light 2 there than...
We could see some of their indie-style games.
That's an indie. That gets lumped into the other pile.
I think we'd be more likely to see it.
I think they're going to reserve E3 for their money-making games. Because
Beyond Good and Evil is not a money-making game.
Exactly. And the indie-style games are... The indie-style games, we know that they use the money left over from Assassin's Creed, and the big money-making games the extra money goes to the little indie games. They're just fun to make and what gives Ubisoft good PR. Mm-hmm. I think that we're going to see Watch Dogs this year.
I don't think so.
Now, if everyone who's played... Now, we know that Watch Dogs was set in just like October 2013, even though everyone played it halfway through 2014. And at the very end, it says like CTOS 2.0 releasing next year.
Yeah,
I don't think... I think they would have taken that out if they had changed their plans because of that. I don't think they're going to... I think that the delay hasn't affected their plans, and I think that it's probably well underway. And I think that they are annualizing that game. They don't have a lot of annual games other than Just Dance and AC, but I think they are trying to annualize Watch Dogs.
I think they're going to wait until Watch Dogs 2 and then go, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and then call it by, other words like they do with Assassin's Creed. I think it's just too soon to annualize Watch Dogs because with a year of Watch Dogs and Unity, you don't want to say, hey, by the way, you know how everyone thinks that we rushed out those last 2 games? Well, only a year's passed. We're going to come out with another Assassin's Creed and another Watch Dogs. It's not good PR.
Yeah, the remaining bad PR from Watch Dogs mixed in.
It needs to die out. Give it a year to die.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, just because of bad PR, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to give Assassin's Creed a year down, but I mean, that's obviously not happening.
They're already given us, I think, their attempts to say that we learn from our mistakes and we're doing a lot of things to fix that, like with the betas and things. I think that's enough PR.
They're not going to unannualize Assassin's Creed. That's just a fact. They're not going to do that.
And I definitely think there are other ways to get rid of bad PR and restore faith in a franchise than just taking a break.
Yeah.
But Watch Dogs isn't annualized, so they have the opportunity to wait. So I think they will. We may get a trailer, but it's not
is it annualized? We don't know until they reveal it. It could be.
I just think it's too much of a bold move to annualize a game right off the bat. I predicted the last Watch Dogs release date. No, and I say it's not this year, damn it.
They haven't annualized right off the bat before, but it's the first time for everything. And it's not like
Ubisoft. Now with the launch as rocky as Watch Dogs. It's too bold.
Yeah.
It didn't have a rocky launch for sales though. It did really well in sales.
Yeah,
it
got slightly better PR, I think, than Unity.
I mean, what did it sell? Like
it did way better than Unity in terms of PR.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
One of the things actually, I mean, Assassin's Creed 1 got slightly worse critical reviews than Watch Dogs did. And it took them 2 years to annualize it.
Watch Dogs wasn't that bad, actually. It was just really rough around the edges, and if they hadn't downgraded the graphics, then they would have been set, and it just would have been remembered as a slightly mediocre version of Far Cry.
If they think they have something good enough, then I could see them annualizing it. But I kind of agree with Aries. I don't think it's going to be.
I think that the CTOS 2.0 next year is definitely.
You're right. That is very damning.
I don't know why they would include that, and they've been hinting towards like Camden, New Jersey, and the Twitter hasn't really left up from that.
I was going to say that Watch Dogs 2 would take place in London, and then Syndicate came out. Because what's the guy, the asshole dude, Damien's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to London. At the end of the game, like, okay, Damien, that's cool. And then London's the most surveyed city in the world nowadays. But anyway, we're not getting into Watch Dogs 2 predictions.
And then T-Bone was going to that other city. There's a few places it could go.
Yes.
I don't think they're going to go outside the US though. So that was Ubisoft. What's next, guys? Sony.
Sony.
Sony. What are we going to see from Sony?
A little sparse. Not a lot.
I think they're going to push features over games this year, probably.
Well, we do have two big games. We have Uncharted.
Yes.
I think we're gonna get a demo and a trailer, maybe. Probably just a demo. But it's not coming out this year, that's the thing. They're gonna be pushing Uncharted 4 via the Uncharted 3 collection. We're probably going to get a demo.
I think it would be suicide to release it this year, but I think early next year.
Yeah, I think they're going to push Uncharted 4 at E3. You don't tend to see remastered collections.
We didn't see it last E3, but we did see it at PSX.
I mean, McCracken, here's the thing though: with a show lineup that is as thin as Sony's, you kind of have to put in everything you can, because what big games do they have coming out this year? Exactly.
I don't know, but honestly,
they don't really have a lot going for them. They would have to rely on Ubisoft to show us some stuff.
No Man's Sky. That's what they have. They have No Man's Sky.
They're probably going to release some.
They need to push that.
And they're going to focus on.
We don't know if that's coming out this year. A lot of people inside and a lot of industry insiders have been saying that it's not anywhere near done. So we might see it.
Hello Games has been saying 2015.
I think we'll see it.
That's what I'm hoping for.
We'll see it we'll definitely see it at this year's E3.
I think we'll get
the one to show it.
Yeah, I definitely think that Sony's going to be the one to show us No Man's Sky. I think we'll get some more info for No Man's Sky because it's really still quite
it's a PS4
vague,
game,
really. Mm-hmm. And it's a PS4.
That's the point. They want it to stay vague.
It's at the very least, it's a PS4 launch exclusive. We know that much. And then I think PC, it's coming to PC next.
PC too.
And then it's a bit up in the air whether it's going to eventually come to Xbox One.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see...
No Man's Sky is one of the few games that they can actually say, like, hey, come to us because we have this.
Yeah, a lot of people are excited for that, and there's a lot of still vague things about it. They haven't really showed us a lot. I think that... Yeah, we're going to see maybe... There's a lot of demos that have been shown with the vague ones where they just land on the planet and then walk around for a bit. So I think we might see another one of those. They'd love to show us those.
They're going to see combat, because they've said there is combat, but we haven't seen it.
That could be...
Take a laser blaster.
Yeah, we could. I think maybe we'll see upgrades. Upgrades are supposed to be a big part of it, and we haven't seen any of that yet.
Mm-hmm. But seriously, with the rest of Sony, what else can they show? They have No Man's Sky,
Uncharted Collection.
Uncharted 4 will get something for, but not actually a release date this year.
Collection.
God of War.
It's hard to show
we'll get Uncharted
much of a collection, though.
Yeah,
but they have to, because there's nothing else they can show.
But what would you show?
They'd show us
the same thing with Gears of War.
Hey, look, it's shiny now.
They'll show us a spliced together collection, 60 FPS, 1080p, 60ness.
Exactly.
And just show us
look at how smooth it is.
3 epic action shots from each game.
Shit's seamless, yo.
Probably not too hard to actually choke that together. It'd be really good. And just show us some of that 1080p, 60 FPS 60ness. And
it's really low effort. Fill up 10 minutes of gameplay time.
What did they show for the Master Chief Collection at E3?
I don't know. The thing is that Xbox had a pretty full slate of games to show last year. Sony doesn't, so they have to turn to stuff like the Nathan Drake collection.
And indies.
Because there's just nothing else to show.
Well, we also have... So we have that, and we have God of War 3. We have God of War 3 Remaster. They've already given
I don't know why they're not just doing all three of them. That's just ridiculous in my mind.
It's a little weird. Because they're actually all three are on PS3 already.
Yeah, God of War 2 is
PS2, and it's a bit confusing. It's a bit strange. We can't forget that Uncharted Collection isn't even being handled by Naughty Dog. They're all focusing on Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
So we're going to see Uncharted Collection, God of War... No Last of Us 2 yet.
know that there's...
We know one's in development. We know one's in development. They're focused on the movie at the moment, I think.
A teaser? Why are they doing a movie? That's so bad.
Oh, that reminds me about... We didn't talk about
gaming.
Assassin's Creed movie at all.
We'll
talk about...
We'll talk about
Oh, yeah, we're probably going to get a teaser for that.
Wait, let's just keep on topic. We're jumping around like nothing, like nobody's business. So we're getting maybe something Uncharted Collection related. What do you think?
Maybe.
I think a trailer.
I think we'll get a trailer.
I don't think we'll get a demo because everyone knows how the game plays.
Yeah.
Right? And then we're going to get Uncharted 4 demo. And then we're going to get a God of War 3 remaster trailer.
Yeah.
I'm saying demos.
Right? Are you thinking demos?
That makes no sense.
For the remasters. Who gives demos for remasters?
But the thing is...
The point about demos is to show off new gameplay. It's not... You can't go into like an old game and be like, oh man, we totally like... Now you can grapple across the environment with this stick.
But you can show how it plays better.
It's actually a feature of an
But they aren't going to play better. They're just going to look better.
They're going to look better. Well, play better, look better, same thing.
They're going to play more.
No, that's not the same thing.
It'll play smoother.
Yeah, but that's not something you want to...
You can show that off in trailers, though.
You could also show that off on like the show floor. You could just be like, hey, play this. It feels better. Cool.
But what are they going to do with the other 40 minutes of press conference time? That's like the sticking point here.
Well,
we have Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank. You can't forget Ratchet and Clank.
That's
40 minutes.
Stop talking about the 40 minutes. They're going to talk stuff to fill it.
They're going to talk about features and like on the PlayStation system.
Wait, we'll get to the system in a second. We'll talk about
they'll
do
at least like a comprehensive trailer that says like, here's a bunch of indies that we're gonna bring you in the next year.
They always love throwing us with indies. And does Aquaman come out before or after E3? It comes out.
Well, I think it's right before.
No, I think it's 23rd, isn't it?
Or during. I don't know. Fuck it. I lost track. I got Witchered and then forgot about game release dates.
I think we're going to see more Ratchet and Clank stuff. June 23rd, Arkham Knight. So I think we're going to see some Arkham Knight goodness.
Yeah, we'll probably see some Arkham Knight.
We'll see a...
I don't know if it's at Sony, but...
Oh, Ratchet and Clank already released the E3 stuff. Why did they do that? It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. We'll see some more movie.
You're probably right. We're going to get some last Arkham Knight hurrah before the game shows up.
Yeah. I definitely think so.
I've seen that with a couple... There's been a couple games that have released like right after the show that they've still pushed at E3, so it's definitely... Yeah.
So I think we'll see some Ratchet and Clank movie. Maybe some Last of Us movie. Maybe I think a teaser for Last of Us movie.
Still need to play Last of Us.
Oh my god.
I played Left Behind, and I did not play the full game.
You didn't play the full game? Left Behind gives spoilers for the full game.
That's the exact wrong way to do it.
It definitely says so beforehand. It's like, you should really play the full game. I played Left Behind. I didn't feel... Maybe it's just that I haven't played the full game, but I didn't feel like there was anything that was seriously spoiled for me.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Spoilers!
Oh, no.
Somebody,
how did you...
Spoilers. Everything's shit right now.
Oh my god.
But it's Ellie's entire backstory, which explains so much. And never mind. This is not the Last of Us podcast.
I mean, the backstory I don't think is a big deal, because backstories you can always, in my opinion, you can always play first or see first, because it happened beforehand.
Oh my god. But, sure. Yeah. Maybe.
Anything else for Sony?
PS5?
Oh yeah, that's the thing. I've never cared about Metal Gear, like the whole franchise. It confuses the hell out of me. Like Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Revengeance, or whatever. How is that all the same universe? I don't get it.
It's a really, really complicated story.
Yeah.
And I think this might be the first game that I actually get for Metal Gear because it looks really
Well, actually,
sexy.
the first game you get for Metal Gear should be Ground Zeroes because it's free on PlayStation Plus this month.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'm not home to play it.
I started it.
Feel like playing it.
Yeah, I started it. I'm not sold yet.
I don't really want to support Konami anymore because Konami is a big turd.
Well, it's free, so it's...
No, I was talking about MGS5.
Ah.
I have no intention to buy it.
Okay.
I may play Ground Zeroes, but...
And you have a wolf buddy, and you have an eye patch, and he puts ash on his face, so it's kind of cool. I think we're definitely going to see some MGS5, another demo, because it's got the open world flair, so it's got a ton to show.
What's going to be the demo to cutscene balance? Because they have long-ass cutscenes in those games.
Ooh. 1 to 7.
The establishing cutscene of Ground Zeroes went on for it was not incredibly long. Like, I've heard about half-hour cutscenes in Metal Gear Solid 4. This was probably only 7 minutes, but I don't know. It was shot weirdly, like it was this continuous shot, and the camera kept shaking around. So, when I first started up the game, I moved the person a little bit, but that first cinematic just made me nauseous, and I had to put it down for a while.
No, I'm gonna pull something that you guys might not be expecting. Last Guardian, yes.
Okay, if they are gonna do Last Guardian, they need to show it now. Otherwise, everyone's just gonna think it's fucking done. It's in development hell. It'll turn out like Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah,
it needs to be now.
It was put on a hiatus, right? Development hiatus for a little bit.
But they released the Ico Shadow of the Colossus collection last year, so it makes sense because it's in people's minds again now.
Last year.
That's the same thing. If we don't get Fallout 4 this year, we might see, and this is it would be just it would be the same thing as the Uncharted collection and whatever. Just be hey, you're not. If we didn't get Fallout 4 this year, then they'd probably be like, hey, here's a slightly remastered other Fallout 3. Take that. Yeah. And then
there were rumors of that.
Yeah.
It's a bit funky.
But if we get Fallout 4 this year, then definitely not.
People were saying that we're finally going to see Last Guardian this year. But they say that
every year. I hope so.
Yeah.
So I think
this is if there's every year.
Yeah. If there's every year to do it, this would be it.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm already sort of kind of that thing. Yeah. That. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that thing.
Let's move on to hardware. Project Morpheus.
That's going to get a lot of airtime.
Yeah.
That's coming out, next year?
And that's a PS4 thing that they'll talk about, so yeah.
Yeah.
Silly Ares, thinking they didn't have anything to talk about.
Ares, come on. It was looking really good when they had it, because it uses the motion. It's... I definitely think they're going to show up.
Yeah.
Oh, they're absolutely going to.
If they're going to... they're going to show it. What I would hope for them to do, because Oculus has already had dev kits out for several years, is show off some... I have no idea what it would be, so it might not even be possible, but show off some, fancy function that just slightly one-ups Oculus, kind of like they did with, Move back when they were trying to get in on motion gaming, and yeah.
All right, and what do we think they're going to go for console?
Sorry, what?
What do you think they're going to show off for PS4? New features and things? For the next update? What was it? Was it 2.0? That was the big update this year?
Yeah.
So do you think they're going to hype up a new big update?
Could be.
I think they'll probably show off something. If they don't show off features, maybe we'll get a slim console, but...
Oh yeah,
we're going to get a storage upgrade.
We have the 1 terabyte. Have they announced it or just hinted it?
I think they've said they were going to get a 1 terabyte model, just like with Xbox, but I don't know if they said it's going to be a slim or just a same thing, bigger hard drive.
I still need to upgrade my hard drive. Let's jump into let's go for Nintendo. Does anyone make any bold claims for Nintendo?
I don't think there's any seriously bold claims. They're going to show off Star Fox. They're not going to show off Legend of Zelda. That's already known.
Wait, they're not?
Yeah, they're not showing off Legend of Zelda.
God damn it, Nintendo.
C3. Yeah, which is actually the one thing, like, that's kind of, like, with that and Smash Brothers and maybe Star Fox, I'm kind of like, maybe I should get a Wii U sometime.
They might do new Mario Kart because it's been 2 years since the last one.
And they've already announced that they won't show off NX.
No, 1 year. Never mind.
Yeah, it's 1 year.
They already told us they won't show off NX next console.
They won't?
Yeah.
They already announced that it won't be at E3.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Not much Nintendo show.
There might. I mean, they'll probably really try to hype up something. Nintendo likes to do that.
I mean, that's why they do a web show, because they can make it as long and short as they want.
Yeah. I mean, I would expect them to make like a surprise announcement of like a franchise that's coming back, but I already feel like Star Fox is that, and we've known about that for a while. So, yeah. It might show off, like, they might be like, hey, here's a future Splatoon content. But
I definitely don't think we're going to see anything amazing or surprising from Nintendo this year.
What they may do is they may show off the beginnings of some of their mobile games, because we heard about that big mobile partnership they have. They can do a lot with that if they show off like a new Mario or a new Sonic, or not new Sonic, but a new whatever it is, something Nintendo like.
Yeah.
Could do. Square Enix.
Yeah, they might show off any one of their favorite franchises. Possibly.
Square Enix. What do we think? We're going to see some Final Fantasy stuff? I don't like basically anything Square Enix does. So
yeah, we'll see some Final Fantasy, whatever number it is.
Who knows?
23.
Yeah,
and then
I think it's either 14 or 15.
I think they're on 15 now.
Yeah, but 14 confuses me because it was like an MMO or something.
Doesn't this one have like a subtitle of Brotherly Love?
That's what all the guys, the pretty boy band guys in the like the supercar, right?
Like there was
crazy hair.
There was like a playable demo that you could. It was like bundled free with some game, and I saw someone playing the demo, and I was like, "That seems interesting. How do I get a hold of it?" And I was like, "Nope, I'm not gonna purchase that to play this." But so I don't know. That might be something I'm interested in. They'll probably show off. They'll probably do some. I mean, Microsoft will push Tomb Raider. They'll also probably push a little bit of Tomb Raider because it is their property.
Maybe it's a 2 demo thing.
Yeah. Surprise co-op.
With Nathan Drake. 2 things about Squeenix. I know people like to call them that to be hip.
I've never heard.
When I watched the No, Ashley Jenkins says Squeenix.
Really? I don't watch the No. The No. I don't know. I watch all the.
I think we're gonna get a demo, maybe multiple demos for Deus Ex, showing like, hey, this is a game about choice. You can do it different ways because that's all this game is about. But also Thief. It's been 2 years since that. We could get a new Thief. They put it on PS Plus a couple months back. Get people to remember that, hey, Thief exists.
No, I don't think so.
Because they can go full, current gen now. Because last time they were really tied back by previous gen stuff, and everyone's like, this game makes no sense.
Yeah, I got it free on PlayStation Plus. I did not finish it because it felt kind of like, I mean, it's kind of sad that like an established good stealth franchise was one-upped by and preempted by a new stealth franchise that was Dishonored. Which was amazing.
Yeah, so if it's Thief versus Dishonored this year, that'd be interesting.
And PC?
It's going to be both, and then it's going to be a battle over.
What do you think about PC? We were thinking Oculus Rift is going to show us something.
Yeah.
Maybe some Star Citizen thing. That's huge, apparently.
Maybe. Oh yeah, Star Citizen
it's
so cool.
Gigantic. When is that Kickstarter gonna end?
I think they said it's getting a proper release at the end of next year.
Yeah, there's no way. I don't know. There's no way I'm going to invest in it now because like it's most of the people that have invested in it have spent like several $100s on the ship and ship insurance and another ship. And it's like no, stop.
Who's going to be there at PC Gaming? You think? Who's going to be presenting? Well, I don't even know. I don't know how they're going to do this.
Because it's not just a Steam show.
This is crazy.
Steam may show up, but I mean, I don't think they really do that. They don't care.
Do you think
they're just sitting on their piles of money from Dota 2?
Yeah. Do you think GOG is going to be there?
There might be a new Valve game, but they'll probably show off. They'll probably do. I guess I don't know if it falls in PC category anymore, but the Steam box is a thing still.
Oh yeah. Steambox.
Yeah.
That could happen.
That's going to be released this year sometime. No?
I'm thinking of getting one only because I have Age of Mythology on Steam and I really want to play it. Got it last year during the summer sale, and I realized that my crappy old PC can't run it, so I I may just get a giant Age of Mythology machine.
And this might just be me not being really aware of how Steam works, but like the Steambox is a Linux operating system, and it's not. It's like 10% of games on Steam that run on Linux.
Yeah,
it's not that many. Even Mac runs more games than Linux.
Yeah, Linux is pretty much, when it comes to gaming, Linux is pretty much dying off for the most part. Mm-hmm. Steam there's barely helping them out or anything. Linux isn't having a fun time when it comes to gaming at all. And Linux is so great, and you can boot up with Microsoft, with Windows. You can boot up with Windows on it, so it's really not that big of a deal that Linux doesn't have anything.
Anything else?
Let's see. PC.
Well, anything else?
Somebody said Dark Souls seems like a PC game, but it's really not, because PC is always actually an afterthought. So that's probably actually if apparently Dark Souls 3 is a thing.
There's been the Dark Souls 3 leak that Funhouse reported on. There was a no reported on, and no one believed.
Well, it was.
And then they're like, "Oh wait, this is actually
real."
Because
just a week earlier they gave us the bullshit Silent Hills one. That came from Funhouse too.
We'll see Dark Souls 3 somewhere. Don't know where, but somewhere.
I have no idea where. Do you guys think we're going to see Platonic? Platonic gives us Yooka-Laylee. Banjo-Kazooie remake?
What? Oh, no idea. Yeah, it could be.
They're not partnering with anyone. So I don't know. I don't think we're going to see them at a conference, at least.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. If there's no one else, just do their own thing. I feel like the PC gaming show is going to resemble an open mic night at a bar where everyone's like, "Hey, I've got a game too."
Indie game. That might actually be really fun.
Maybe the PC gaming show will just be everyone joking each other off about how PC is so great. Just a big cheers in a circle, one massive circle joke.
Yeah.
What do you think?
We don't have any hardware announcements because our hardware is already better than anything else currently on the market.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Actually, if they went like hardware, then basically,
but Nvidia would be like, Nvidia's already announced their latest graphics card, though, the Titan.
Because computer manufacturers might do something, but then it might just become more of like an electronics show, which is like, what's the point? This is E3.
Just go to CES or GDC.
I think maybe AMD will announce something, but Nvidia's already announced their new shit, so I don't think we're going to see anything in terms of graphics cards. Going to be at E3, and that's probably most likely a Assassin's Creed cinematic trailer. So let's talk a little bit about the other cinematic trailers. Right? That was a great intro, wasn't it? That was a good intro. I'm pretty sure that was a good
10
intro.
out of 10. I like
it. You're asking about that?
Yeah, that was a good intro.
It was better. It's better than your most recent style of show intros.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Assassin's Creed podcast. I'm after
1, 2, 3, 1.
Okay,
we killed it.
Let's. Okay, so there are two types of cinematic trailers. There's the E3 ones. Excuse me. There's the E3 and the reveal. So let's talk. Fuck you guys. Let's go through game by game. So let's start with AC1, which gave us the one where he assassinates the guy and he goes into the church and he. Did you guys like that?
I love that trailer. I think it's super iconic. You okay there, Aftermath?
I'm okay.
Well, he's coughing. I'm laughing too hard. I think it's a great little microcosm of what Assassin's Creed is. I think that's the right use of the word. I hope it is. Otherwise, people are going to point out that I'm stupid.
I think that's correct. I will check.
But it's essentially, here's basically the entire feel of this game, which is you see this target. He's doing his thing, executing some guy, and you're up in the bell tower. No one sees you. You're there. There's an eagle chilling right next to you. And then Bell, swoops in front of you, blocks the view, and then comes back and he's gone. And that's like, ooh, you're mysterious. You can be anywhere because you're a freaking assassin ninja dude. and then you're waddling through the crowd, and then these guys are like, "Oh, hey, it's an assassin, get him!" And then you take them out with the crossbow that wasn't in the game. God damn it!
Yeah, funny thing about this trailer is,
and then the escape. It shows every little aspect of an assassination mission in issue 1 perfectly.
Funny thing about this trailer was the crossbow, which you touched on there.
Yep.
Official statement was they eventually took it out because it was not historically accurate for the time period. Although we do know that probably one of the most prolific people of the time did have a crossbow, which would be King Richard Lionheart. I believe that's the one. And so official statement is that it wasn't historically accurate, but it kind of was. So we think
like
it's a bit confusing.
I think it's to do with
we think maybe
place and availability.
We know that AC2 was supposed to have one, so it's most likely mechanics related.
Yeah, probably. I mean, when it came to Brotherhood, it was sort of overpowered, but Brotherhood is kind of like overpowered the game almost because you have
seriously,
and
just pick any one weapon and go.
Yeah, they had to limit you anytime they wanted to do something.
Like
hard.
there's a full sync requirement in it's the mission where you have to go get outfits of French uniforms, and the full sync requirement is don't get detected. Basically, it's trying to prevent you from getting into a fight. It's like, don't get blood on the armor. That's what Bartolomeo says. But you can just drop your assassins on them, and they can fight it out. So it's like, this isn't whatever.
Assassin's Creed 2 had one of the most iconic ones, and it was probably Assassin's Creed 2's most iconic trailer was the one where he jumps down from the roof, and then they go into the whole Carnival business.
I think the first bunch of trailers, we'll get to this later, but they were so good at, with AC1, 2, and Brotherhood especially, with showing you the gameplay directly in the trailers, and later games got a little bit murky with this. But with AC2's trailer, you had a couple big things. You had the carnival setting, you had Venice, nighttime, which was new for the games. You had bribery in the factions with the courtesans, and you had running along with Venice and jumping on the gondolas and whatnot. And then the last thing you had was the gun, and it shows a lot of the big things. That trailer. Yeah, which it was very well done because you didn't know that gun was coming, and he's like, "Hey, I know you're there," and you're like, "Gotcha."
Yeah, because you actually Ezio takes a step towards the guy. He's like, he cocks his head, he steps back in the shadows, he just raises his arm and fires. Genius. Which is actually
brilliant trailer.
If you think about it, that's actually kind of how 2 games later, or whenever the Secret Crusade was released, that's how Altair kind of unveiled the hidden gun when he actually made it.
Yeah,
just like, surprise, bitch.
Yeah. And then we have Brotherhood, which gave us the epic one in the Pantheon Square.
Yeah.
Which was that one probably most iconic for its actually Tobuscus literal trailer.
Yeah,
more people probably not for that than for it being epic.
Yeah, I could sing that whole thing.
I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and then it was probably the most badass trailer I'd ever seen, and then Tobuscus ruined it with his fucking
oh no, it was beautiful.
Coolness.
I liked Tobuscus. I loved literal trailers.
It was great.
I wish they were silly little romps.
Smell your sword, then take out your sword.
So good. I could. Yeah.
I think it was very interesting how they obviously they made it very obvious that they switched focus.
Hooded man watches from a distance.
No, let's not get started. And we went from Rodrigo, and it was and then we panned over, and we got to Cesare, which showed us exactly that Cesare was going to be the focus of this one instead of Rodrigo.
And slow-mo means he's the... Sorry, I'll stop.
Slow-mo means he's the target.
And it also showed us the recruits, which was the big thing for Brotherhood, was the recruits.
Yes, the recruits. Because they showed 2 things about the recruits. One, that you could sick them on people, like with the guard.
Yeah.
That shadow will take care of him.
Shut up!
And then when they actually fight.
I've been bouncing around TV tropes a bunch in my downtime right now, and one of the things it points out is that the Brotherhood E3 trailer is really interesting in that pretty much everything Ezio does in the trailer is something you can do in the game. And really the only limit to that is that you can't actually do an arrow storm and then call the recruits that quickly afterwards. But
but that's technical.
Yeah. but it's awesome anyway.
Yeah, so like you said, the first few trailers were really good at directly showing like everything that happens in the trailer is something that could happen in game, and that was really impressive.
And then we have Revelations, which is unique because they gave us the first Woodkid song, which was very, very nice.
Long-standing tradition now.
Yes, apparently. It turned
How many trailers have they actually used Woodkid in?
I think
like three.
I think three.
Yeah.
But
okay, so it's
we'll try through. Wait. Let's count when we get through. And
fine.
The other unique aspect about Revelations is that it's actually the introductory cinematic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that never happened before or since.
Yeah, it's the only trailer that's canon.
Yeah. Yeah, some funky business with that.
Yeah.
We could argue that
it's also badass.
We could argue that Altair's is, because he took down lots of targets, just not on the game.
Yeah.
True. Well, there's also the crossbow, which makes it
the crossbow pit.
Yeah.
What I liked about the Revelations trailer was that it gave kind of a glimpse into the story with, there's this guy Leandros, and you go back to Masyaf. I didn't like how it didn't really show a lot of gameplay, although admittedly AC Revelations didn't have a lot of extra gameplay. It was just, hey, look, you can play as Altair. It's just one extended fight scene.
It could be argued that the extended fight scene is gameplay. It's just gameplay that was introduced in Brotherhood, because you could just kill streak your way through a bunch of these people.
It's kind of cheap, don't you think?
Yeah, I do think it's a really good trailer in showing where Ezio is at that point in time, because there's a part where
the story
he's
is very good.
Yeah, he shakes off his captors, and they all just freak out. I mean, he's bound, and he scares them that much, and I think that's really interesting that it's like, by this point, Ezio has done all this stuff, and he's a legend already.
Yeah, I never thought about that. That's really cool that that he shrugs, even though he's like completely restrained. They're all like, "Oh shit, what's he gonna do?"
Yeah. That also features into Tobuscus's literal trailer.
Then we have Assassin's Creed 3, which actually had 3 cinematic trailers, which was a bit funky. They have the
Assassin's Creed 3's is
they
the
have
one
the one through the forest where he's running through, which is the reveal. Mm-hmm. Then he had the one where he runs across the field, which is the E3. Yeah. And then they had the ad, which was in the forest where they're writing the Declaration of Independence. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that?
Which one was that?
Sort of.
I don't know if I ever saw that.
The Assassin's Creed 3 ones, like, the only one I really remember is the Battlefield one.
Battlefield one was really well done.
Yeah, I couldn't really tell you what happened in the other trailer, except that it cut between dead people and tree running and fighting and stuff. But
Aftermath. This one, you're right. I think I only saw this like twice.
Yeah, in the forest with snow.
Forest. Because that was the huge reveal. I remember I was actually camped out during school. Not paying attention to my acting class because my acting teacher wasn't paying attention to us. So I was like, guys, let's watch the AC3 reveal. And that was the tree running, which I really loved. And most of what that showed was also in the game too, but just not as an awesome extent.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the tree running was the big thing about AC3. Yeah. That was its big thing.
For instance, they really pushed snow in the marketing. There was like half a sequence with snow. I think it's 1.5 sequences, and one of them is during the intro where you can't really explore.
One of them is Haytham, and one of them is Connor.
Yeah.
So that was Assassin's Creed 3 had 3 cinematic trailers, and then we move on to 4, which had 2. Which gives us the reveal, which was the Blackbeard, which is probably one of the most iconic things of AC4. I'll give you Blackbeard's honest opinion. And then we also had the E3 one, which is where we are fucking badass and we have the sick music and we fucking Adewale as a boss. And
that one also has a fantastic literal trailer.
Yes.
Let's stop mentioning it now.
And the Blackbeard one had a rap, which was also kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like the Blackbeard trailer a lot. Because
Blackbeard trailer was real good.
Because
it gave us it was cool though. It gave us a good idea of Blackbeard.
The bar fight was really fun.
And it immediately established that it was a fucking badass and that like Blackbeard is scared of him. Or at least knows that he's not to be trifled with.
Yeah.
It also kind of
establishes his character really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did something. Is it the only trailer where we've seen a first civilization artifact in the trailer? Because at the end, it cuts to him looking at the vial on the boat.
Could be. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I think it is.
Yeah. What do you know?
Yeah.
Cool.
That's cool.
Cool.
So yeah, AC4 are two really good ones, and the E3 cinematic trailer is probably most well known for its sick music. Which I think that would
Was that also what good?
No.
Okay.
That was Sigerus, or how you pronounce it.
I'll have to watch that one back again.
Yeah, and so that was... I think that AC4 really started us on the path of sick music. And,
yeah, AC4's trailers are really good, like you said, for the music as well.
Some of the great music, and then Unity had that as well. And Unity, we got actually just one, because the reveal was in engine, which everyone thought was crazy at the time. Too bad that sexy graphics had to sacrifice other aspects of the game. And we got... So it was the E3
those
one.
floors, though. Remember those floors?
Oh, yeah. E3
It's the sexy lighting engine that makes those floors look good that killed the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got the one... This is the one that just... People were screaming false marketing for a bit there, because it shows us breaking into the bestie, and yet we were in it in the game.
I don't think that's a big deal, though. I mean...
I think it's kind of disappointing, but I don't want to call it false marketing.
I mean, again, it's like, it's like, sure, you don't get to, you don't get to have that confrontation in the front of the Pantheon in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. It's not false marketing to
Yeah. But it was a bit disappointing because it's almost the exact opposite actually happens.
I will say, one of the things you should be aware of with every AC cinematic trailer, every AC cinematic trailer is fantastic and incredible and a work of art in its own right, but it doesn't necessarily point to what the game is going to be like.
Yeah. Not anymore. In the beginning they did, but it kind of flew away from that. And with Unity's trailers, two things, or two pieces of marketing. One was the trailer, where in the end you have this guy cornered, and then the guy's like, "You're going to kill me," and we're like, "No, we're just going to leave you here," and then let all these other people storm in and kill him. And then with the demo, the 4-player co-op thing, you toss this guy into the square, and then they all impale his head on a spike, and that points to the assassins work through the mob and empower the revolution that way, which never actually happened in the game, and that really bugged me.
Yeah, that's true.
The promotional materials that never made it to the game. And that is what I really didn't like.
I mean, the mob acts like that. It just doesn't act like that when you want it to. Because they kind of talked about it being like a mobile thing that you could manipulate. And that led to people kind of comparing it to Revelations in the way you could manipulate the crowd. And then you really couldn't. Unity, I mean, almost like Paris is incredible, but like for me, really, the draw of Unity and why I keep coming back to it is the free running. And that's like why I keep coming back to Unity. But like, as far as like other features, it feels really kind of bare bones. And for some reason, I always kind of think of a still life. Just because it's like, all this stuff is here, but you can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
So
we should clarify real quick that when we say cinematic trailers, we mean CG.
Yeah.
They're all kind of cinematic in the camera angles and things, but we mean CG.
Unity's is actually, going back to my point about the trailers being art in their own right, Unity, and like not representative, Unity's is actually my favorite cinematic trailer, but again, it's not really what the game is in itself.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the things that made people be like, where are all these other 4 assassins? Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't really so poorly.
They didn't really clarify. It was co-op. It was a bit weird. And then the whole thing that they're all Arno, and yet they all had different facial hair.
Yeah,
they explained it really well for Watch Dogs, but they really dropped the ball for Assassin's Creed when they were explaining that.
Like even if they just done like, if they gone like, here we're gonna give you the similar graphics like the Recruits in Brotherhood, where like you have just a mask over your face and you have this fancy thing, whatever.
That would have been better.
Yeah. But as it is...
I would agree with you, McCracken.
Yeah, we technically have 4 players with different faces, but their faces are like, this one is Arno, this one is Arno if he was beaten up, this one is Arno with gout.
It's a weird how they handle that.
Yeah. I think Unity's trailer was really good, but it was the least indicative of gameplay. Brotherhood was probably the most indicative of gameplay because it was like shot for shot all things that happen in game, or at least that you could do in game.
I really would have if you could strategize a bit more like they do in the cinematic trailer, like, you know, at this moment you're going to run by and throw a smoke bomb as you're running. Like, now that I'm thinking about that, I'm like, man, I really wish I could throw a smoke bomb a different direction while I was running, even though that's kind of impractical, but I kind of wish you could do it.
Well, I think that wraps up the extra long episode this week. Thanks for joining us, viewers. The music used in the episode can be found in the description, along with timestamps for everything we discussed, except that I've stopped doing that. I should take that out of the outro.
I did it.
Yeah.
Aftermath.
But it's not really practical on iTunes, and that's where we get most of our viewers. As usual, you can reach us on the Assassin's Creed subreddit, which is assassinscreed.reddit.com. or reddit.com/r/Assassin's Creed, as well as on Twitter and through our email, animusislandpodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions or inquiries or would like to be a guest, then you can contact us on there. Next week, we're joined by the YouTube channel UB Central to talk about his time in the community and whatever we want to talk about.
Aren't we doing something before that, though?
We're doing... If you'd like to be a guest, as already mentioned, then you can contact us in any ways listed there. We're doing a little special thing. What do we... Aries, how about you explain to us what we're doing this?
Okay, so I'll explain it because I won't actually be there. So
yeah.
Here's the deal. I'm tomorrow, except which is yesterday from the time you're listening to this. I will be in Italy. So that means the time that the press conference ends is 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not staying up for that because I have a class the next day. So what my good friends Aftermath and McCrackenway are doing is they're having a rapid-fire first impressions post the Sony conference, assuming we'll get some form of Assassin's Creed stuff there. They are going to do first impressions of all kinds, and they are going to have you, yes, you, the viewer, coming in to give your first impressions, dropping in, dropping out with guests. Mm-hmm. So if you would like to be part of that, just tell Aftermath or McCrackenway, or I, probably Aftermath though.
We'll probably put up a post.
We will bring you in,
we're gonna
let you talk, and then
we'll pick you up. So we're going to make sure you're following us on myself and McCrackenway on Twitter, which is twitter.com/aftermath1231 and twitter.com/McCrackenway, I believe. And also make sure you're keeping an eye on the subreddit because we're going to make posts about times, contacting us, being on Skype. So, straight after Sony's, which is, what time is it? Guys, tell me.
It depends on where you are in the world.
What time? So Sony's is at 6 p.m. My phone's ringing. 6 p.m. EDT, which is Los Angeles time. And then you can use this handy-dandy table, which is up now, to figure out where that is for you. So just add an hour onto that.
That's a viewer calling right now.
Add an hour onto that, 6 p.m. PDT, and you'll figure out when we're going to be recording, and then we're going to talk about first impressions, what we thought about E3, what we thought about Assassin's Creed, Syndicate, what we thought about what we saw. So make sure you're following us on Twitter. I guess you can email us if you want to be on, but add me on Skype if you want. Keep an eye.
You'll have to eventually.
Keep your eyes peeled, and we'll post more details as you go about that situation. It should be fun. We haven't quite planned all of it out yet, but it should be a fun time. If you live in Helsinki, then you're gonna have to stay out till 5 a.m., which should be fun for you. Or Berlin, which you have to stay out till 4 a.m. So maybe this will be North America and Pacific. How about that? That's everything that we have to say this week. Thank you for joining us again. We'll see you the middle of the week, maybe, if we end up doing that. And we'll see you next week with Huber Central. So, see you then. Bye.
Bye-bye.